Hey there, Heba. More essays, good. I'm really happy to see you working so hard. So let's see what you wrote here. Pollution, and how can we solve it? Let's see what you said. For a multitude of communities living in large cities at the time being, the pressing problem of pollution, contamination, and acid rain is mainly correlated with human activities. This essay will discuss the relevant root causes, which will pave the way for a number of suggested solutions using examples from New York City and Africa. Okay. On the whole, it's fine. There were a couple of areas that just didn't really feel like particularly natural English. So those are kind of some of the, oops, sorry. Where are you? There you are. Okay, so those are some of the places that I wanted to pay a little bit of attention to. Okay, so for a multitude of communities, it's just, these aren't words that create collocations, okay? So you could just say for innumerable communities or for numerous communities, and then that too doesn't make sense, communities living in large cities. So just, this is one of those times when really it's in your best interest to just simplify your language. So you could say for the multitudes of people living in large cities. Currently. Okay, better than at the time being. That works a lot better, and it just feels more natural, okay? And this also felt a little strange to me. The causes will pave the way for the solutions. That it doesn't really seem quite convincing to me in terms of language. All right, so let's try to change some of those things up. Okay, main body paragraph. To begin with, as more countries have become industrialized, air pollutants proved to be one major contributor to the excessive global amount. Because first we use the opinion word, and then we go closer to what's relevant to the noun. So it should be excessive global amount of CO2. Or, let me think about that again, the excessive amount of, this works too, the excessive amount of CO2 emissions globally, okay? Or you could put globally at the end. So, excessive amounts of CO2 emissions from factories and car exhaust globally. For example, a recent study by the New York government and New York City should be capitalized. So, New York government demonstrated that almost 70% of the greenhouse gas emissions, because this is where your plural is, under emissions, gas should be singular. So, greenhouse gas emissions are produced from industries and vehicles. To solve this, the government should impose green tax on these industries and cars, or raise the price of petrol. Why? Tell me why. How would this help? Okay? Because when you give a solution, you have to explain how it's a solution. Otherwise, it's just like you leave your main idea falling flat. In addition to that, public health officials should launch regular educational campaigns about the harmful effects of air pollutants on our health and planet. And how would this help us, Heba? Okay, so tell me a little more. Tell me that this awareness would cause people to be more conscious of their use of fuels, of the emissions they create, and in general their carbon footprint. And clearly, awareness is the first step to change and to prevention. Okay, so something like that. You really have to extend these statements. Okay, moving on. Following this, excessive and dangerous waste products seem to be another relevant cause of air and water contamination. This could be due to the excessive domestic refuse, litter in the streets, okay, and industrial waste. Fine. In Africa, for instance, a recent study showed that over 70% of African cities' waste are produced from household garbage and litter. All right, shouldn't you just say garbage or litter? I don't know why you're using both. To tackle such a problem, the local officials should set legal limits for household waste and excessive packaging. Okay, this would in turn cause people to be more aware again, more cognizant of the amount of litter they produce, and would give them motivation or incentive to reduce that litter. Therefore, curbing and modifying such a flaw are the actions to be taken. Oops, sorry, I'm in the wrong paragraph. Okay, Moreover, applying strict laws against littering and penalties on industrial institutions with excessive waste. That's not a full sentence, okay? So again, extend it just a little longer, a little more. All right? Strict laws. Okay, so yeah, just extend it how this would help. Give me an example of what kind of a law you're implying, all right, and how you think that law would help. To sum up, this essay discusses relevant reasons of pollution in big cities such as cars and factory fumes and the excessive local refuse in these cities. In addition, the essay introduced a number of possible solutions to the above-mentioned problems. Above-mentioned should be one word. Therefore, curbing and modifying such a flaw, I don't know what you mean by a flaw, that's a strange word, are the actions to be taken by authorities, officials and authorities. Okay, so I like what you wrote. I liked a lot of it. Yeah, there were some little errors in terms of the grammar, in terms of the word choice, but it's well written. I like that you were able to have problem and solution in one paragraph. Problem and solution, usually it's done differently. People usually do problems in one solution, problems in one paragraph, sorry, and then solutions in another paragraph, and that's pretty effective too, but what you did was nice. However, what you didn't do enough is if you didn't extend your answers, okay, and that's going to cost you in terms of task achievement. You have to extend them a little further, and I think I talked quite a bit about that. So I even gave you some suggestions on how you could do it. Okay, grammar was fine, nothing too serious, as I said. I liked the coherence and cohesion aspect of this, so there's definitely some good elements to this essay. All right, let's take a look now at your task 1. Oh, lovely, it's the cars. Okay, this one is tricky, let me tell you why, because people always leave out some of the countries. Okay, that's the first thing people do. They don't talk about all the countries, you have to at least mention them by name. And the other thing that's really tricky about this is that people either spend too much time talking about the individual car companies or too much time talking about the totals and not the individual car companies. So let's see how you dealt with this. The shown graph illustrates the percentages. Nope, it's not percentages. It's sales in thousands, so careful. You have to really pay attention to this. This is inaccurate right here. So, the shown graph illustrates the number of sales of 3-car models in multiple European countries in 2018. Overall, it can clearly be seen that BMW cars, careful you wrote cares, are extremely popular in Germany and France, whereas Ford vehicles are more favored by Hungarian, careful, Hungarian citizens. Okay, so it looks right now like you're focusing a lot on the cars, on the car companies, the individual car companies. I probably would have picked a different overview. I probably would have said that of the 9 European countries, Hungary sold the most cars and Belgium sold the least. All right, but yours is fine too, I guess. Ford vehicles are preferred by more Hungarians. Okay, I kind of feel like that's a little. I don't know if I would have picked that because I kind of thought that Hungary pretty much equally preferred all these car companies, or more or less at least. And it looks to me like Holland also preferred Ford. So I think it's interesting that you selected this. Also, take a look at BMW. It's not just France and Germany, but also Hungary really preferred BMW. So I think that your overview is not 100% accurate, okay? All right, let's see. As for BMW cars, France and Germany experienced nearly equal amounts of sales, around 110,000 cars, followed by Ireland with figures of around 10,000 fewer cars. Interestingly, UK, Poland, and Italy had close figures of car sales at 90, 80, and 90,000 respectively. Are we talking about just BMW? Yes, we are. You didn't talk about Belgium, though, did you? No, I thought Belgium was really interesting because it had almost no BMW sales. Okay, as regards, no comma here, as regards Ford vehicles, the purchases were just under 400,000 cars in Hungary. Okay, you misunderstood this. I see what you did now. Okay, here's the thing. You have to understand how to read stacked bar charts. What's really important here is the whole. They're really concerned about the total. This is why they stack them up like this. So, Hungary sold about 400,000 cars, close to it, and of those 4,000 cars, they're showing you that like 110,000 were BMW, about another 110,000 were Audi, and about another 110, or maybe it's 150, I'm not really sure, were Ford. So that's how you have to read this. And now I understand why you thought Ford was the most popular. It's not. Maybe it's just a little bit more popular than one of these two, but that's how you're supposed to read a stacked bar chart. I always kind of assumed that this was like 130, 130, and 130, and that's where you get to this. But okay. All right, so in other words, what's happening now, Heba, is that this data here is inaccurate. So as regards Ford vehicles, the purchases were just under 400,000 cars in Hungary. In contrast, Italy and Belgium experienced the lowest figures at 120 and 90,000 cars. Let's say Italy. We're talking about Ford. Yeah, so look at this. It's actually really inaccurate. It's only like 20,000 here, and it's like 10,000 here. Finally, Audi cars were very popular in Hungary and Germany, with nearly 250,000 cars sold. Again, we've determined that that's inaccurate. However, only 5,000 no S cars were sold in Belgium. All right, so I see now what's happened. That's why your overview is mistaken. Your BMW figures were okay because it was that bottom color, but this whole paragraph is absolutely wrong, okay? And you've misunderstood the graph, and that will definitely reflect on your score. They'll understand that you misunderstood the graph, and you'll see your score change as a result of it, okay? I hope you now understand how to interpret stacked bar charts. I want you to rewrite it. I hope you understand now what I was telling you about the total, and you did what a lot of people do, which is you completely disregarded the totals. So here we have the highest total with Hungary, the second highest with France, Belgium is the least, and then between about 120,000 and like 260,000 you have the rest of those countries. Okay, so try it again, and let's come back here and see what you do with your corrections and of course your next set of essays. Good luck.